Welcome to Screensavers. Last week we talked about WrestleMania. This week we will talk about Minecraft. But first, I am one of your hosts, Jacob Cody. Alongside me, I have.
I'm not doxing myself, it's just Steven.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
I'm just
wow.
Lindsay. So we went to see this movie on a Tuesday night. Unfortunately, during school vacation, so there were lots of, teenagers and whatever. And apparently, at a later showing of the movie, teenagers stabbed some adults because they told them to be quiet during the movie.
Yeah, I think we left the theater at like 9:30-ish.
Yeah.
And I saw reports that said the police were there by 11:30.
So it wasn't that long after we left. And Jacob had to tell some kids to shut up, so that could have been us.
I did. That definitely could have been us. I wasn't gonna say anything, but they were getting really loud. Lindsay, I whispered over to you as it was happening, like
Yeah.
a moment before it happened, if I should say something or not. And you were like, I don't know. I just decided to because they were being incredibly annoying. If they
being
were
super
adults, I
loud.
would not have said what I said. I would have been maybe a little nicer about it. But they were like scrawny 15-year-olds, so why not?
Is this where we find out you're kind of a bully?
No, I am.
You only
He
said
likes to
something because they're
bully
little.
children.
No, there are
Yeah.
there are certain situations you have to assess the room. If there was an
Listen,
adult there, if it was a couple, I wouldn't have said anything that rude because you never know. Guy might get defensive, and if he's big, I don't want to. You got to assess the size of the people who were there, and I did a quick once over and said, "All right, it's fine."
So you saw these kids and you went, I could take them.
Yes, if anything, all three of them at the same time, I could have thrown them over the
Oh
railing
my-
if I had to.
This is like the scene in Step Brothers.
We had lots of weird kids in our showing. Like, we had the people who showed up and sat next to Steven on top of each other, and they weren't even in the right seat. Like, I don't think they were supposed to be at that movie at all. I think they just
definitely
walked
not.
in without tickets because they ended up leaving and never coming back after they took someone else's seats.
Yeah, they did. They did not come back at all. And then the people, go. Were you gonna say something?
7, 5, 6, 7.
The guy whose seats they were in had the ticket on his phone or something, and was just counting over at the number because he had his kids with him, and he was just counting over at least 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's not talk about how late everyone was to this movie.
Oh my god, I know.
That's been a chronic issue. Jacob, think about when we saw Warfare. It was, the dead silent scene in the beginning, and there's people just walking in, sitting down still. Ruined that whole immersion. And for this one, they walked in late. Those kids thought they probably got away with taking those seats. And then those guys sat at the end of your row, where the kids you told to shut the fuck up ended up. They sat there, and then they were bickering. They were like, the dad goes, this isn't the seats I paid for. And he was getting all pissed. He's like, well, I'm sitting where I paid for. And then just walked up in front of the kids and was just like, this is my ticket. And I see yours. And they went, oh,
They're like, oh, sorry.
They were like, actually, this is the wrong row. Thank you, sir.
I expected it to be chaotic, and it definitely was. Like that stuff is annoying, but little kids talking during a little kids movie, like I can't be upset about that. That's just gonna happen.
The kids were so excited. Like, the little kids were so excited about the movie too. Like, it was cute.
The I Am Steve in unison was incredible. Endgame like experience.
Yeah, they saw Cap pick up the hammer.
Yeah, they did that also for Chicken Jockey, and then I didn't know this was a thing either, but they also said Flint and Steel, which I didn't know that was a thing from, I guess, the trailers that people picked up on.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, in the beginning, and then they kind of also do this is a crafting table.
Did we want to maybe talk a little bit about each of our histories with the game?
I mean, I can go first. Myself, never played it on PC in the early days of when it first came out. Then it got ported over to 360, and they had like the Minecraft 360 edition, and then like the Minecraft 1 edition, and that's what I played it on for most of my time. And I played a bunch of it on the 1, and then that could cross over to Xbox like 1 on like the PC Xbox games on Windows. And when I used to work at the gas station, I would bring my laptop and be able to play on my realm at work.
That's incredible.
And the laptop is kind of janky at this point, and it ran Minecraft like completely fine because we didn't have like mods or anything. Yeah. Oh, so I would bring my Xbox controller, hook it up through a USB, and then just play.
Yeah, I was similar to you. I didn't start playing it until the 360 version, which when preparing for this episode, I looked up like when those actually came out. I guess Minecraft was in like a beta slash early access situation for like 2 years before it officially came out in 2011. And then the Xbox version was out by I think May of the next year. So that's when I played it. Even at that point, it was so because if you remember before Microsoft bought Mojang, they had different versions for each platform.
Mhm.
So the PC was always way better than the console versions before they eventually synced up after the Microsoft merger. So that's when I started playing it. I was in middle school, I think seventh grade, I think at the time. Everybody was playing it at the same time, sort of all discovering the ins and outs of the game. The worlds were so small on console. You could probably if you were in real life, you'd probably take a stone and just toss it. It was so small you could hit the other side. And at the time, they had I think Pocket Edition was out by then, which had infinite worlds. So tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah, on your phone. Yeah,
Yeah, on
Infinite
my
World.
phone, but an Xbox 360 cannot handle it for some reason.
Dude, kids in my school played that a bunch in class.
Pocket
And
Edition?
I could never do it because I did not. You're so used to playing on a much larger screen that a phone screen's still small, but it wasn't appealing enough to me. And that was also, it was like $8 and an $8 iPhone game in 2011.
Might as well have been 100.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm in school. I don't actually have the income to pay for this.
It's when
And
you
there's
would
no
hope
way
you
I'm
get an
convincing-
iTunes gift card.
Oh,
Yeah.
iTunes
was the
gift cards
best.
hit like crack.
Oh, I would get a bunch for my birthday, and I'd get like $100, and then I'd buy all the albums I wanted that I've been waiting for.
Yeah, for me it was Amazon gift cards because everybody knew I read, and I think around that same time my parents got me a Kindle for my birthday. It was like one of the like OG ones with the keyboard. So that was like a birthday thing for me every year.
You didn't like the iBooks?
No, they're gross, dude.
I read 50 Shades of Grey on my phone.
Well, it was written on a phone, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
on my Apple iPhone 4 or whatever it was. I was like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm reading this. Also, I'm 15, so I shouldn't
Yeah.
be reading this. Let me read it on my phone.
You had to hide it like it was, and I mean, it was porn.
Porn, yeah.
Yeah.
Cindy, what about you? What about your history with Minecraft?
Yeah, so I didn't play Minecraft until I was an adult. Shout out Anthony. He buys a server sometimes, and I just play on that. And it's like modded. There's like lots of mods that he uses, so I'm just like, okay, I'll use that. I don't even know what all the mods do because I'm sure I haven't accessed enough of the game to actually know what they do. But yeah, I like to just build stuff. I don't really do a ton of anything else when I play. I mean, I've probably only played like 5 hours of Minecraft in total. Maybe
Really?
10. It's really, I haven't played a lot at all.
Man, I after we saw, I don't know about you guys, but after we saw the movie, I played a little bit. I just like started a brand new world on my Switch. There are so many things about the game that are just not the same. It is so different than the Minecraft that I played. The basics are so similar, so I'm used to that. But I feel like a caveman who just discovered fire when you play it now. It's so different.
They have copper now,
Yep.
and I'm like, okay.
Diamond
what
armor
this?
is no longer the best armor. Can you believe that? Like, I didn't even know that zombie pigmen weren't in the game anymore until I saw the movie and was like, what are these piglin things? And that I guess those replaced zombie pigmen.
See, I didn't even know any of that was in the game. That's how little I know.
So you watching it, you're just going, I guess this stuff is in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Did you understand any of like the little like jokes they made, or did you recognize that they were like poking fun at gameplay mechanics at all?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, because they kind of make that easy to understand even for everyone who's played it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the day-night cycle was 20 minutes in total.
Or they had the reference. I never watched him, the YouTuber Technoblade. He passed away, and
Oh,
they
I do
honored
remember
him.
this. Yeah.
He was, I don't know if you remember in the movie, Lindsay, when they first get to the village, they see that pig that has the crown on.
Mm-hmm.
That was the tribute to Technoblade because his like character in Minecraft / like his thumbnails was a pig with a crown.
I figured we can go right into it if we read the IMDb descriptions for each one and see if they're anything at all worthy of the movie, because I find that often these are not. So Minecraft's is 4 misfits are suddenly pulled through a mysterious portal into a bizarre cubic wonderland that thrives on imagination. To get back home, they'll have to master this world while embarking on a quest with an unexpected expert crafter.
He's
Which
he's described as an expert crafter. Good for him.
I mean, if we're gonna use the term loosely, this movie is sort of a musical.
yes,
There were way more songs than I was expecting. I know there's only like 4 songs, but that's 4 more songs than I thought were going to be in the movie. And the Lava Chicken song is the shortest song to ever like chart in the UK on the top
Yep.
40 there. I'm like, that's hilarious.
it's so
But people
short
are
that like people probably play that over and over again. That
Yeah.
that just popped up on the charts.
Yeah, there's probably someone out there that started listening to it and then somehow had it on loop. Because you know how if you have in iTunes the loop on
Yeah.
and you go to an album that is just a single, it's gonna loop that. So if
Yep.
someone was in a situation like that and they're listening to it, they go, yeah, this guy's Lava Chicken song is kind of repetitive.
Or it's like, you know, people with kids, the kids just want to hear the song over and over, so they're probably playing it for that reason too.
That's Cocomelon views right there. Put that on, lock the screen, and then it's on loop. Do you want to have our Letterboxd kind of be involved in this?
Oh yeah, we can put up our Letterboxd scores like
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go first. I genuinely gave this movie a 5-star. Overall, the movie itself, I think we're gonna really ask my opinion. I would give it 3 stars for the actual, like, if I had no idea what Minecraft was, had no ties to it, and then watched this movie as just a movie, I would have enjoyed it still because it was kind of funny. The CGI was way better than I was expecting it to be, considering there's a lot of AAA studios out there that are putting out movies twice this budget of 150 million that look atrocious. I mean, not to drop on them, but Electric State is a perfect example of how bad.
It only cost
CGI.
400 million.
Yeah, only Ted Sarandos is definitely not writing off that.
Yeah, movie theaters are outdated according to him. Did you hear?
Hey, what's that thing about Sinners breaking records? Nah, it would have done numbers on Tubi.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I gave it a 3, and like I gave it an actual rating. Not to say that yours is an actual rating.
it's not.
But my my honest opinion, I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was a fun movie. I do sort of acknowledge that none of this movie should work at all. There was definitely a conscious decision made not to make any of this, not to take any of this seriously at all, which I think was the right decision because it is so dumb and you can't really take that seriously at all. The real world stuff was so ridiculous. The potato chip centered town, the love story with the villager, shout out to Matt Berry and Jennifer Coolidge, was something that I feel like was almost 100%. I would have said just cut that if I was directing this movie, but I'm kind of glad it was there because it was so dumb. But yeah, 3.5. It definitely was made by people who either liked the game or did their homework, which I thought was really cool. And the kids seemed to love it. So, you know, that's the audience they were going for. And so it made a ton of money and overall success, I would say.
Yeah, I also gave it a 3.5. Like Jacob said, it was just really fun and foolish. If you were like going to the movies and wanting to see something light, this would have been a good pick for that. Yeah, the kids did love it. I feel like all the actors did a good job with the material. Sometimes I feel like people don't want to look silly, but they cast the perfect people who did want to look silly for it.
I'm going to elaborate on my other 1.5 stars that equals this up, or sorry, the other 2 stars that equals this up to a 5 for me, because it was the theater experience was just a blast. I was having a great time. I honestly can't imagine if we were at the later screening that involved the stabbing in the parking lot, what that would have added to it. Maybe 6 stars, honestly. And then the shout out, obviously the cameo to Matt Berry showed up. Jermaine Clement was also a character in this. They obviously always collaborate, and that in and of itself gave me the other, boost to make it a 5, because you say the love story with the villager and Jennifer Coolidge was kind of silly. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought the fact that here she is getting divorced, looking for a man, and falls in love with, she hits him with her car.
Yep.
And then goes, not again. And
not in my Jeep Grand Cherokee or whatever.
Very Thor-like.
And then they fall, and you find out, she's just gonna propose to him. And I'm like, okay, this whole movie takes place in less than like 2 days. Obviously, over the it starts with the flashback of young Steve, but then once the movie comes to present day, like they're in and out within like a day.
Yeah, their romance.
It's very Nightingale syndrome.
I just think it was because I don't know if they. I think if I had to guess, this was intended to be like a scene because the entire thing, like the parts we're talking about the next morning, that was a mid-credit scene.
Yep.
So in the movie itself, it's just that dinner scene. It never goes anywhere else. Just
Yeah.
stays there the whole time. I was saying if you had not seen this in the theaters and you just decided it was streaming or you wanted to rent it at home or whatever, do you think you would have the same opinion or do you think you would be a little more judgy?
I would say, yeah, it was a solid, fun movie. Maybe like the other part of it, I would say that helps is it is a video game movie, but it's a very hard category for some people to get into and actually make successful.
Yeah.
Because as we've all seen with video game movies, okay, the video game itself is successful, but that doesn't mean, okay, if we just take this IP now and make it a movie with this IP, but abandon like core principles of the game, it never works. It has never worked. I mean, you look at Assassin's Creed. I saw that movie in theaters, so hyped, and I left not on the verge of tears, but if we're being dramatic, yes. Like they butchered Michael Fassbender and the franchise itself. But now you have this game, which is the complete 180 that I would have ever thought a Minecraft movie could work as a concept because there's not really a storyline to it. There's a goal and it's to beat the Ender Dragon, which this movie doesn't even touch upon.
Nope. I'm assuming that's going to be safe for a sequel.
Yeah, now that we know they're probably getting a sequel, it's going to be involving more stuff that they didn't even touch. They touched so much, and there's still a lot of content for them to go through because of the years and years this game has been out and updated. But they made this whole other one, obviously involving the real world and making this story that actually, no, Minecraft does exist. You just need this cube and, this all-spark Tesseract looking thing, and you get into the world, and then now you're just playing Minecraft.
Typically, like, the best chance you have to make a decent video game adaptations, but they've mostly been shows. I still can't really think of a movie game adaptation that I thought, whoa, this was amazing.
Rampage.
You're right, Rampage. Shout out to my boy George.
Yes, George. And Ralph. Ralph is my personal favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. How could I forget about Rampage? You're right.
Rampage is the best video game movie.
It's very forgettable, actually.
No, it is not.
At one point, it was the highest grossing video game movie.
I'm gonna put in the clip of Ralph attacking the helicopter.
It was also, I believe, the highest rated as far as like Rotten Tomatoes for a long time, and that was like a 52 or something. So that shows you how bad video game adaptations historically have been.
Most video game movies, whether you think they're good or they were successful or not, 90% of the time, the disparage between critic score and audience score is at least half, or like it's split down the middle. So in case with Minecraft, it's like they have their score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a 48 from the critics, and the audience score is an 86. So it's just about half of the audience score been the model for it, and you see that, and I think that kind of messes with not just directors, but anyone involved in those projects, because they feel, the studios at least feel the pressure to deliver, and they don't want to be lumped into another failed video game movie.
Hence the Jack Black casting.
Minecraft was supposed to be made like 10 years ago. They like started, not production, but they started talking about it in like 2014.
Yeah, I can't remember his name to save the life of me, but the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia who owns the soccer team with Ryan Reynolds.
McElhenney?
Yes, he was supposed to direct that movie.
Yeah, he was.
The Minecraft movie, like a long time ago, yeah. Yeah, so this has been in the works for a while. Thank God for The Last of Us, am I right? Saving us all.
Number one Glazer over here.
Dude, it's so good.
No, I bet. The other part of this movie, for me at least, was a movie made in TikTok era.
We didn't talk about this,
Yeah.
It's not so much I hate putting out there the stereotype of saying kids nowadays have short attention spans.
But they do.
You
They
could.
do.
They do. No, I know they do. I'm just saying they act like they can't have another one. I think most kids will, or not most kids, I can't, but most people at least will acknowledge, and I'll be one of them, that I easily get caught watching reels and TikToks and fucking YouTube shorts, just scrolling and scrolling. And I'm consciously knowing, oh my God, I'm a brain rot and all that shit. But then I am also on the other side where I'm like, oh my God, this movie coming to theaters is 3 hours. I can't wait to be seated for this.
Mhm.
And I'm watching the whole thing. And a theater definitely helps me be less distracted watching movies at home. I kind of feel like, especially if it's just, say, me and Lindsay watching a movie, I could check my phone quick if it
Yeah.
vibrates and it's not bothering her. We can pause it and get up and have a snack or go to the bathroom. Not that that's ever really a problem for me in a theater. This movie definitely leaned into having a lot of those blurbs that are TikTokable, if that can be a word.
Mhm.
Obviously, all the lines that became popular that these kids were seeing online in the lead up to this movie had already done 2 weekends when we had seen it, and all of the moments in this movie, like the chicken jockey, like the I am Steve, all of that was already known about, and you would have to presume these people that were seeing the movie were repeat watchers for the most part, and then definitely people that maybe weren't interested in seeing the movie. But I think, and I'm speaking for myself here, but maybe you guys agree, I definitely was more excited to see the movie once this stuff started coming out, because it did feel missable. But then I was like, okay, this is kind of turning into like a event
The moment, yeah. It
in
felt
a
like a
moment.
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell my kids, basically is what I'm getting at, that, me and their mother sat side by side during Chicken Jockey. And if someone almost died that night, but that's the price we pay.
They're fine. Real Karate Kid situation.
And those kids were only like 15.
Yep. Yep, that's what I had heard. And it's a felony charge, so you stabbed somebody over, or
Yeah.
attempted to stab somebody over Minecraft. And if that was me, I would never tell anybody if that was me as an adult.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So if you successfully got away, you would just not look that gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be like every TV show or movie where the character moves on from a past life of crime, but you see somebody in public who recognizes you for the ne'er-do-well you once were, and then it all comes back.
Yeah, you thought moving away would get you away from it. No, it follows you to that little town.
Yeah, I do think, obviously kids have shorter attention spans now and everything, but for the at least last, I don't know about last year, but 23, like I think like the top 3 highest grossing movies of the year were all like 2.5 hours or longer. So people will still sit down for longer content. I think that part of it is way overblown. I don't think it means that people won't see longer movies. It just means that the things you're consuming on a daily basis are a lot shorter, therefore maybe you look for that sort of thing. But if you're seeing a movie, then especially in a theater, who cares, right?
Yeah, the only worry I have for it is, I mean, again, I enjoyed it, and I'm not trying to say Minecraft is gonna like ruin the movie industry somehow, or the model that the movie industry has, because movies nowadays could potentially make their money back and be deemed successful as profit wise. And they could just make a movie that has a very mediocre storyline. I don't even want to like involve AI bullshit in this, but like,
Yeah.
you could say, oh, someone just writes an AI script, you get the people to act it out, and then when you're looking at it, you go, okay, every so often we should have a spot where they say something that is a catchphrase or whatever,
Buzzword.
a buzzword, and we make that scene feel like it's fucking the main event, but we do that every time interval to make it somehow engaging. And they worry, oh, people can't wait for the build up. They think a movie can't build up on a solid, maybe throw in a dip in there, but a solid just build up and then finale. Or if you're building for a sequel, that type of cliffhanger thing.
Mm-hmm.
They think it has to be like a freaking heart rate, in that the second the event happens, everyone's going to go, oh, I'm going to go back to my phone.
Yeah.
And until the next event comes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they would probably, they think, oh, if someone's going to see a 3-hour movie that is built like this, they're going to not care or be interested until that last main event where it just ends. So that could be a possibility. I don't see it happening unless we see more movies like this. I don't want to say this is like the first of its kind, but it was very obviously maybe not planned originally in the way when they made it. But after it came out and the way social media reacted to it, they kind of just ran with it.
Yeah, I think that can sustain you for like a short period of time. For an opening for a movie or in the opening weeks, it absolutely helped them. But in the long run, which doesn't even matter because they're just looking to make money during the theatrical run. But in the long run, like I'm not gonna be saying I'm already not saying chicken jockey, so
Yeah.
it's over.
Oh yeah, we saw it in ScreenX.
Oh yeah, we didn't say that.
For those of you
Yeah.
who don't know about ScreenX, it's the main screen like a normal movie theater, but then the sides are also screens. So you're like immersed in the world.
Extremely
Yeah,
disorienting if you've never done it before,
Oh,
at least for
yeah.
the first couple of minutes.
The first time we went to a ScreenX movie, it was completely by accident, and we saw Wicked in ScreenX, and we were sitting there, and then it pops up and says, "Oh, stare at the center screen." And we're looking at each other and we're like, "The center screen? Isn't there just one screen?" And then it's like, oh, woo, and then the sides light up.
We didn't even question why the tickets were more expensive.
No.
I was the one who purchased them. I had thought this theater that we go to, they have a theater experience that they call ACX, which is basically just their Dolby Atmos theater. And I had thought when we were looking for tickets for Wicked, I saw the ScreenX thing, and I didn't think this was a technology out there yet. I thought this was another version of it that was maybe now a middle tier, and they're just trying to get money out of people. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's not an ACX, I'll see it in ScreenX. Like, to me, that sounded very similar. And yeah, bought the tickets for us. We get there, and it was essentially like a ride opening up and revealing itself. And then it jumped right into the movie, and I thought I was going to throw up because of the motion. But I made it through. And then obviously this time going into it, we knew what to expect. And with that ScreenX function, it was mostly used during the overworld experiences in Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Which it would show the screen in front of them that was all a main movie screen, and then the side walls would be filled in of the world, so you would kind of feel like you're in the Minecraft world. And to me, that was one of the best parts of the experience. Just the encompassing of the ScreenX was crazy fun to be involved in, because when we did see Wicked, we were kind of towards the bottom of the upper section. And, with how kind of close you get to the screen, sometimes it can be a little harder to deal with. And it filled our field of view much more. And this time we got the seats at the back wall. And that way at the back, the screen kind of comes up and ends at some point. And to me, like, it almost feels like you have like a visor there.
It was a much better experience in the back row.
Yeah.
Much better. Like, knowing what to expect in the back row, we were like, okay, now we understand how to do ScreenX.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not three screens playing constantly all the time.
Yeah.
Like we said, like the real world didn't have any of that. It was mostly just the overworld. And then Wicked, when we saw it, it was only the songs that had
it was only the
ScreenX
numbers.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like how in even a 3D movie, not everything is 3D. Like, it's 3D to an extent, but the actual 3D aspects that like come out of the screen are not there like 24/7 during the movie. So I think they kind of treating ScreenX like that, and it seems like it's a technology that they're just going to be filming in now, which it's going to be fun to see what other movies. There's definitely some movies I don't want to see in it because it feels more so like I don't know how to say or describe it. Like
the way I think of it is like if it's a grounded experience, I don't want to see it in ScreenX. But if it's a fanciful, like, fantasy world like that, I would definitely want to see that in ScreenX.
Yeah, like, let's say, for an example, coming up this year, I would not want to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in ScreenX.
Definitely not.
But if I were to ever rewatch, say, a Star Wars movie, I would want to see that in ScreenX.
They just had Revenge of the Sith and IMAX, like similar situation.
Again, that kind of piggybacks on the whole, oh yeah, people don't like theaters, and they just re-released a 20-year-old movie, and it's making money. But what do we know? Ted knows all.
Yeah, put another comedy special on there, Ted, of a comedian who is just totally not funny.
Yeah, get the Russos off of Avengers. I want an Electric State 2
They're gonna be riding that Avengers high forever. That's all they needed to direct. I don't even know that they're good directors because everything else they've done has kind of bombed.
Yeah, I mean they made Infinity War, and I can't
Yeah.
disparage that movie even if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I do agree.
everything after that, it gets a little hairy.
It was that other Chris Pratt movie they did on Amazon. I forget what it was.
Tomorrow
they did
War.
Tomorrow War, that's what it was.
Yeah, I never bothered with Tomorrow War.
Any concluding Minecraft thoughts?
Huh.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.